This is actually A3. I know it says A4 up here. Go ahead, change that to 3A.3. And I can simplify the powers of I by using the definition of imaginary numbers. So this is our lovely chart. You don't have to memorize all of this, but you do have to memorize, like, I to the 0 is just 1. I to the 1 is I to the 2 is -1, I to the 3 is -I, and I to the 4th is 1. Okay. So I to the 0, well, the rule, if you remember back from KC1 all the way 2 units ago, then any power or any number raised to the 0 power is 1. So I to the 0 is just 1. Well, I to the first is the same as just I, right? If there's no exponent, it's 1. I squared, remember if I square this, they cancel out. That's how we get that -1. We talked about that in 3A.1 under the definition of imaginary number. Right? Well, now if I do I to the cubed, which is I times I times I, this is I squared. And we just decided that I squared was -1. So -1 times I is -I. And that's how we get that. I to the 4th is the same as I squared times I squared, right? -1 times -1, which is 1. Which brings us back to here. So if you look, in our cycle we have 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps, and our 4th jump really brings us back to the beginning. So it's a 4-part cycle. Okay, so every 4 numbers it will repeat, right? So I to the 5th will bring us back here. I to the 6th, I to the 7th, I to the 8th brings us back. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th brings us back. Okay? So when we're doing these powers, we have 2 methods. The first is the baseball method. So just like I said, there's 4 parts to the cycle, just like a baseball diamond has 4 plates. So you can think about it as running around the bases. Where our home, where we start, is I to the 0. Then we go to first base. Then we go to second base, which was -1. Then we go to our third base, which was -I. And then, hey, look, we go back to home, which takes us back. And then we can keep running. So if I have I to the 19th, I'm going to run around the bases 19 times. So I start here. That's 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 gets me to the I to the 3rd, which equals -I. And that's our answer. Okay, so that's one method, and it's easier for smaller numbers, right? If I only have like I to the 7th, right, it's not that hard to run around 7 times. As your numbers get bigger, 41, that's still probably doable, but if I gave you a power of like I to the 4,237th, you wouldn't want to run around bases 4,237 times. So then we have this division method. Okay? So we take the number 41, our power, and divide it by 4, the 4 bases that we're running around. Okay? You divide 41 by 4. So if we look at our calculator, this means 41 divided by 4. A lot of people want to put 4 divided by 41 because it looks like the 4 comes first here, but that's incorrect, okay? It is 41 divided by 4, right? Our 4 bases are running around, okay? It does give us a fraction, so what we're going to do is we're going to approximate it to a decimal. We have to hit Control and Enter, and that gives us our decimal. So our first step, divide by 4. calculator. 41 divided by 4, and then Control plus Enter. Okay, and we get 10.25, and we're only going to take the part before the decimal, and we're going to put that on top. Step 2. Multiply. This times this. 10 times 4 is 40. Step 3. Subtract. 41 minus 40 is 1. Okay. This is your new power. So that goes to here, I to the first. And if you look up at that chart, that's off my screen, but still on your paper, right? You look over here, right? I to the first equals I. This one is quicker with those bigger numbers as you get the hang of it. Okay? So let's look at some more examples. I'm going to do this example because I feel like it's a lot more complicated than this one. Hopefully the running around the bases kind of makes sense. So feel free to run around the bases, but again, as the numbers get bigger, I think there's some in like the 300s in your activity, right? It's much easier to do your division. So let's look at our next one. So we have 16 divided by 4. If I do 16 divided by 4, Control Enter, I do get 4. So this number is what goes up here. Multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. Subtract. 16 minus 16 is 0. So I to the 16th is the same as I to the 0, which if we look back at our chart, which we will have to memorize, is 1. Number 2. Same idea, right? So my power is 3. Three divided by 4, Control Enter. Right, and it's that 0.75. We don't ignore that part, we take the 0. Multiplying, 0 times 4 is 0. Subtracting, 3 minus 0 is 3. Well, that makes sense. Our power doesn't change. We know what the I to the third is. It's negative I. So technically we didn't have to go through all that. The I to the third is in our table that we have to have memorized, right? It's part of the bases already. All right, looking at number 3, I to the 22nd. Take that 22 and divide by 4. We have 22 divided by 4 is approximately, and 22 divided by 4, Control Enter, is 5.5. And we just want this part. Five times 4 is 20. And then we subtract. 22 minus 20 is 2. So I to the 22nd is the same as I squared, which is negative 1. Last one. Here's our 13. In my calculator, 13 divided by 4. Missed the 13. 13 divided by 4. Control Enter. We get 3.25. Ignore this. This is what we want. Do it all in red. Multiply 3 times 4 gives me 12. 1. So I to the 13th is the same as I to the 1st, which equals I. Okay. All right, and that is it. Otherwise, go ahead and get started working on your A3 activity.